Come see us doing live shows. We'll be in Los Angeles, Honolulu, Baltimore, Atlantic City, Cohoes, New York, Providence, Rhode Island. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets, and only jimmydore.com. So guess what? The House COVID-19 panel releases their final report on COVID-19, and they criticize public health response to the pandemic. You don't say.
Did they excoriate it? Would you say it went that far?
Did they excoriate? So I know what you're wondering. Does that mean that did we pointlessly destroy lives and businesses with an iron fist, or does that mean they were cracking down hard enough on us? It could go either way.
Yeah.
Was it they were destroying lives and businesses, or they weren't cracking down hard enough? I wonder what the answer is going to be. I wonder how this COVID report's going to turn out.
Wait,
I wonder.
Are they going to say not enough? Is that really how it could turn out?
Well,
I'm asking for real.
No, this is a joke I'm telling.
Oh, God. If that...
A Republican-led House committee investigating broad aspects of the COVID-19 pandemic and its effects in the U.S. released a final report Monday summarizing its 2-year effort, saying it hoped the work would serve as a roadmap for Congress, the executive branch, and the private sector to prepare for a respond to future. So the Republican-led House committee. So it's Republican. So that means the girls at The View don't have to accept it. And when I say girls, I mean grown ladies. I meant to say.
Neither do I.
I meant to say gals. I meant to say gals.
I don't accept it either, Jimmy. We should only have one party. To save democracy, we should have one party.
Yeah, just one, like China.
Yeah.
So maybe what they need is a good old roadmap. So this is a good old fashioned roadmap because the last circular clusterfuck came off like they were using Waze. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And everybody knows that here we go. It's a 520-page report, Kurt. The House Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic concludes that the coronavirus most likely emerged from a laboratory in Wuhan, China. Well, you don't say. Sounds far-fetched.
Yeah, a little bit. 520 pages to say that nonsense?
Are they sure that the people in China weren't eating bats at a wet market? Are you sure? Oh, come on.
Have I been not eating bat because I thought that causes COVID and you've robbed me of that?
Are you sure we're talking about Wuhan, China and not Wuquain? Are we talking about Ukraine? So it goes on. It says, citing factors like biological characteristics of the virus and illnesses among researchers at the Wuhan Institute of Virology in the fall of 2019. The report is also critical of common COVID mitigation measures. Social distancing and mask mandates were not based on science. Hard science, but soft science.
Limp
science. Flaccid science. And prolonged lockdowns caused immeasurable harm to not only the American economy, but also to the mental and physical health of Americans, with a particularly negative effect on younger citizens.
We've seen Taylor Lorenz. You can measure it.
So basically, every conspiracy theory you thought about COVID is they're validating.
But for the wrong reasons.
Yes. So I love how these reports, they understate the actual effect. The latest research reveals drowning severely reduces a person's ability to contribute to society.
Oh, that's what I bemoan the most is all the people, what they could have contributed. So that's all you're useful for is what you contribute to the system.
Experts have said that such mitigation recommendations were sometimes based on research into other respiratory viruses because of a lack of knowledge about the coronavirus, and that guidelines may shift as scientific knowledge develops.
Which experts?
Yank. However, the report applauds travel restrictions instituted by the Trump administration early. Yank. Saying that they helped save lives and were unjustly criticized as xenophobia. No, we know now that the virus wasn't anywhere deadly like they said it was. In fact, Bill Gates said it was just like the flu, a little different, but it had a low fatality rate. How low? Less than 0.5%. So if you got COVID, you had a 99.5% chance of surviving. And the people who died were old with comorbidities, just like the flu. but a little different.
As the great Bill Gates, the billionaire we like,
as the great Bill Gates said. So they're still lying for Trump. That's what they're doing. They're lying. That's what's called lying for Trump. Unbelievable.
Well, do you remember the travel restrictions and all that at the time? It was racist to even say COVID was a problem.
Yes.
I remember this abrupt switch where all of a sudden everybody who was...
Nancy Pelosi was in Chinatown saying, come to Chinatown.
Yeah,
don't worry about
some
it.
Bat.
Yeah.
We're saving some bat on the Barbie for you.
The administration, the administration is also lauded for Operation Warp Speed, the effort to quickly develop the COVID-19 vaccine, which the report calls an incredible feat of science that saved millions. Hey, we all know that the best and safest way to develop an experimental drug is at warp speed.
Yeah. And by the way, even if that were true, Pfizer didn't want to be part of Warp Speed because they didn't want all the oversight of Warp Speed. Warp Speed. Which is none.
The report notes that the operation even received praise from Dr. Anthony Fauci, former director of the NIA, and a frequent target of the subcommittee. Oh, really? Okay.
I hate these people so much.
But the report, this is CNN Health, but the report also, and I hate them too. And that health officials and the Biden administration oversold the power of the vaccines to prevent transmission or infection, possibly contributing to the public's lack of trust in COVID shots and in vaccines overall. You think the fact that they lied about them repeatedly?
Who wrote this? Sanjay Gupta?
Contributed to the public's lack of trust in them? You think?
A stochastic loss of trust.
The report also accuses public health officials of taking part in a coordinated effort to ignore natural immunity and suppress dissenting opinion.
That's ridiculous.
Don't let that statement roll past, because this is one of the biggest crimes of the millennium.
Nothing burger, I say.
Coordinated effort to ignore natural immunity. You know why they did that? To make people who had natural immunity also get the vaccine that they didn't need because they had natural immunity.
Because then people would find out you don't die from COVID, really.
Bombshell report. You know, if by bombshell you mean shit we already knew, unless you are shit lib crazy, I guess it's a bombshell. I guess that means it's a bombshell.
That woman could bake with her gay son this whole time?
So here's what they say. The House subcommittee, the key takeaways, that the lab-related incident in Wuhan involving gain of function is most likely the source of the virus. U.S. taxpayer money funneled through EcoHealth Alliance allegedly funded the dangerous research, and that Fauci lied about it. They didn't conclude that, did they? That Fauci lied to Congress about the funding of gain of function research. They didn't put that in there.
Well, I say he's an adjudicated gain of function research criminal. Adjudicated, Jimmy. Adjudicated.
And they can blame China for it. So COVID-19, the virus possesses a biological characteristic that is not found in nature. No shit.
I thought that was crazy.
Data shows that COVID-19 cases stem from a single introduction into humans. This runs contrary to previous pandemics where there were multiple spillover events. Wuhan is home to China's foremost SARS research lab, which has a history of conducting gain-of-function research at inadequate biosafety levels.
And we still work with them to make more fucking viruses. Is that in the report?
Jesus Christ.
Don't worry, we're back at that lab. I don't know how the speed of science works. It's certainly not warp speed, because I knew about this 6 months ago. We're back making viruses at Wuhan. America is.
And the researchers who worked at that Wuhan lab were sick with COVID-like virus in the fall of 2019, months before COVID-19 was discovered at the wet markets. And by nearly all measures of science, if there was evidence of natural origin, it would have already surfaced.
Yeah, well...
Who wrote this, John? Go ahead.
If there's any consolation, we're doing the same research in Raleigh, North Carolina.
That's
so
right.
Next time.
Also, vaccines. Contrary to the early promises, COVID-19 vaccines did not fully stop virus transmission. In fact, everybody who got the vaccine also got COVID.
Nobody promised that. You're making things up.
I know. Mandates, however, still upend lives and livelihoods, creating widespread frustration and backlash. Economic disaster. The pandemic caused 160,000 business closures, but that means permanent. That doesn't mean they just closed during the lockdowns. That means that they were shuttered forever, with 60% of them, 60% of these permanent. So what's 60% of 160? Do you know 41% of all black-owned businesses shut down permanently?
We don't want them being independent.
Cornel West did not know that. I had to let him in on that.
Why would he know about business? He's a jerk-off who works at a college.
I know. Why would he know about business?
The most unqualified people on the planet.
160,000. So 96,000 businesses closed permanently.
Yeah.
96,000.
Cornel West is half a man.
What's that?
He's half a man. He's like a punk college kid for his whole life.
Where's the part where DARPA and the DOD were in on this? Is that coming? Probably not.
That's strange.
Right? No?
Now, I would like to hear from thought leader Destiny on this one, because I know he doesn't buy into this stuff, and he was vaccinated in his mouth by Nick Fuentes. He got his booster, too.
Prolonged closures were unjustified. School closures. Prolonged closures were unjustified by science. Any closure was unjustified by science, leading to historic learning loss. Historic learning loss.
Well,
higher mental health issues and declining physical well-being for kids. Federal and state government were unprepared to manage relief funds or coordinate their COVID response. The Biden administration allegedly obstructed investigations with key officials like Dr. Fauci's advisor, accused of policy violations and misleading Congress. That's what they concluded.
Wow. Boy, Republicans are the best.
Tom Wren says, one of the first things to see is the claim that the vaccines were largely safe and effective. That's what it says in this stupid report.
Oh,
the shocking thing about this is that the rest of this section provides absolutely zero evidence of the safety or efficacy of those vaccines. Instead, it talks about the failed safety and efficacy surveillance systems.
Oh, we got to work on that right now.
Essentially, the committee said we have no real evidence of safety or efficacy, but they must be safe.
Yeah.
Further, they admit that the FDA is trying to block access to government data about the safety and efficacy of the vaccines. This section is absolute whitewash and gift to the big pharma killers behind mRNA. Pfizer and Moderna's lobbying money has been well spent.
It's the wisdom of Solomon, Jimmy. They cut this baby in half.
So let me just say that the vaccine did save oh my God, it was fantastic. So I have to disagree with this Tom Rentz guy. They did not whitewash the mRNA, Pfizer and Moderna No, they're not killers. Those vaccines save lives.
If only they could vaccinate for climate change, the thing that killed so many people with myocarditis.
The FDA and the CDC say the vaccine saved lives, so that's what I have to go with at this show. I can't go against the FDA or the CDC. They'll take my channel down. But here is from the report. COVID-19, while largely safe and effective, it had adverse events that must be thoroughly investigated.
At least drop effective, seeing as how I got fucking COVID after I got the vaccine. Surely you can't still say effective. You could say safe if you want to be a piece of shit.
No, it's safe and effective, Kurt. That's what the FDA, the CDC, and this committee found.
Yeah, they mean soft killing an elderly population because much like China, we have too many people and the lizards who run the world want to thin the herd out, as we know from the Georgia Guidestones.
So just so you know that when the swine flu in 1976, 1 in 100,000 people who got the vaccine had an adverse event. The COVID vaccine, 1 in 800.
Wow.
And they say it's safe and effective, and they're still recommending it.
Hey, we should run this flagpole up the flagpole past the Freemasons and straight to the Rosicrucians.
The swine flu vaccine, 1 in 100,000 people who got the vaccine had an adverse event. They pulled it. COVID-19, 1 in 800. They're still recommending it, and they're still saying it's safe and effective. And some people say that has to do with the fact that all those politicians who wrote this are being paid by Big Pharma.
It's almost like our government's a joke. It's almost like this is a fucking joke and you're an idiot if you believe in it. That's what it almost sounds like.
It's almost like that, but I have to go with what the FDA and the CDC say, Kurt. And they say it's safe and effective, and it's fantastic, and everybody should get their booster. Come see us doing live shows. We'll be in Los Angeles, Honolulu, Baltimore, Atlantic City, Cohoes, New York, Providence, Rhode Island. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets, and only jimmydore.com.
Bye.